November 24, 1971. The day before Thanksgiving. Northwest Orient Flight 305, a Boeing 727, readied for a short hop from Portland to Seattle. Passengers boarded expecting nothing unusual. Among them, a quiet, middle-aged man in a dark suit, white shirt and black tie. He carried a black attaché case and bought a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. He blended in, unremarkable, until he took seat 18C near the rear. The plane lifted off, engines roaring, slicing through the cloudy afternoon. The cabin buzzed with the usual chatter and clinking glasses. Cooper sat calmly, watching the landscape fade below. But beneath his calm exterior he was preparing for something audacious. He had a plan, one that would soon make him infamous. No one on board suspected that this flight would become the center of an enduring American mystery. The legend of D.B. Cooper was about to begin. The flight was only 30 minutes, but it would change aviation history. Cooper's actions would baffle investigators for decades. He would demand a fortune, parachutes, and then attempt the impossible, to vanish. The passengers, oblivious, settled in for what they thought was a routine trip. The crew moved through the aisles, unaware of the storm about to break. Cooper's plan was set in motion, high above the Pacific Northwest. Soon, the ordinary would become extraordinary. The man in the black tie was about to orchestrate one of the most daring skyjackings in history. He would become a legend, a ghost, and a symbol of unsolved mystery. The world would soon know the name D.B. Cooper. But for now, he was just another face in the crowd. The hijacking was about to begin. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper made his move. He signaled flight attendant Florence Schaffner. She expected a routine request, but he handed her a folded note. At first, she ignored it, until he leaned in. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Schaffner read the message, written in neat, all-caps letters. Cooper asked her to sit beside him, then opened his attaché case. Inside wires and red sticks, enough to convince anyone. The threat was real, or at least real enough. Calmly, Cooper stated his demands: $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills and 4 parachutes. He was specific, composed, and in control. Schaffner relayed the message to the cockpit. Captain William Scott immediately contacted air traffic control. The authorities were alerted, the hijacking was underway. The passengers remained unaware, told only of a minor mechanical issue. Meanwhile, the FBI and local police scrambled to respond. Cooper's demeanor was striking: polite, intelligent, methodical. He wasn't a desperate criminal, he was a man with a plan. The crew followed his instructions, knowing the lives of everyone on board depended on it. The news sent shockwaves through aviation and law enforcement. All eyes turned to Flight 305. The fate of the passengers and crew now rested with a calm, calculating skyjacker. The quiet flight had become a high-stakes standoff. Cooper's demand set the stage for a tense negotiation. The drama was just beginning. The world was watching. The legend of D.B. Cooper was taking flight. Captain Scott's message reached Seattle-Tacoma Airport. The FBI took charge, racing to gather $200,000 and 4 parachutes. Time was short, the stakes were high. Cooper meanwhile sipped bourbon and smoked, oddly polite. He instructed the pilot to circle Puget Sound until his demands were met. Passengers were told of a minor delay, but tension grew. The FBI assembled the ransom 10,000 unmarked $20 bills, serial numbers recorded. Parachutes were harder to find, but eventually 2 primary and 2 reserve chutes were sourced from a local skydiving school. As dusk fell, the plane circled, awaiting instructions. Cooper was kept informed and gave precise directions for the exchange. He wanted the money and parachutes delivered to the plane by one person, alone. The atmosphere on board was tense, the crew doing their best to maintain calm. The passengers remained in the dark, but the crew knew this was no ordinary flight. The ransom and parachutes were ready. The next act was about to begin. Cooper's plan was unfolding exactly as he intended. The authorities could only wait and hope for a peaceful resolution. The stage was set for a dramatic exchange. The world held its breath. The hijacking was far from over. After 2 tense hours, Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma. The airport was cleared, law enforcement watching from a distance. Cooper directed the plane to a remote, well-lit section of the tarmac. He wanted no surprises. The cabin lights were dimmed to prevent snipers from seeing inside. An airline employee, dressed in civilian clothes, delivered the ransom and parachutes. The exchange was tense but smooth. Cooper checked the contents, satisfied with the delivery. He kept his word. All 36 passengers and several crew were released. The hostages, shaken but safe, were quickly escorted away. Only the flight crew and one attendant remained. Cooper's next demand: refuel the plane. He outlined a new flight plan. Destination Mexico City. He specified a low altitude, slow speed, landing gear down, and flaps at 15 degrees. These were unusual, risky instructions for a 727. The crew realized Cooper was planning an aerial escape. The refueling began. The remaining crew braced for what was next. Cooper was still in control. The night was far from over. The most daring part of his plan was yet to come. The world watched, waiting for his next move. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again, heading south. Only Cooper and 4 crew remained. Cooper ordered flight attendant Tina Mucklow into the cockpit, wanting the cabin to himself. Outside, a fierce storm battered the plane. Rain, wind, and darkness. Flying low and slow, the crew followed Cooper's instructions, tense and uncertain. Over the forests of Washington, a warning light flashed. The aft air stairs had been opened. This was it. Cooper's escape. The crew felt a rush of cold air, a shift in pressure. Cooper, with the money and a parachute, jumped into the stormy night. He vanished into the wilderness below. The plane continued on, the crew eventually checking the empty cabin. Left behind, 2 parachutes, Cooper's black tie, and his tie clip. The money and 1 parachute were gone. Cooper had leaped into one of the most rugged, remote areas in the Pacific Northwest. It was night, the weather brutal, the odds of survival slim. Yet, he was gone. No trace, no body, no sign. The legend was born. The crew landed safely in Reno, but Cooper had disappeared. The world was left with questions and a mystery that would endure for decades. D.B. Cooper had become a ghost. The perfect crime or the perfect vanishing act? The search for answers was just beginning. The manhunt would become one of the largest in U.S. history. But for now, Cooper was gone, swallowed by the storm. The myth had taken flight. The world would never be the same. The hijacker had vanished. The legend of D.B. Cooper was sealed. The case was open, but the trail was already cold. The mystery had only deepened. When Flight 305 landed in Reno, the FBI was waiting. The crew described Cooper's calm, his demands, and his daring jump. The manhunt began, codenamed Norjack. Search teams combed the forests of Washington, battling rough terrain and bad weather. Helicopters and ground crews found nothing: no parachute, no money, no body. Cooper had vanished without a trace. The FBI considered every possibility. Did he die in the jump? Was he a skilled paratrooper, or just lucky? The search dragged on for months, then years. Hundreds were interviewed, every clue chased. The only evidence, a tie clip and cigarette butts, later yielding a partial DNA profile but no match. The mystery deepened. Who was D.B. Cooper? How did he disappear so completely? The legend grew with every dead end. The case became a symbol of the unsolvable. D.B. Cooper was a ghost and the world was hooked. The FBI's Norjack investigation dug deep. Dan Cooper was likely an alias, possibly inspired by a comic book hero. Suspects included skydivers, criminals, and airline employees, but every lead fizzled. Richard McCoy, Dwayne Weber, Kenneth Christensen each had compelling stories but no proof. Theories abounded. Was Cooper a mastermind, a desperate man, or just lucky? The black tie left behind revealed rare particles. Maybe he worked in aerospace or chemicals, but nothing led to a name. The case inspired books, documentaries, and endless speculation. Every few years, a new theory reignited public interest. The evidence was scrutinized, but the puzzle remained unsolved. Cooper's identity was the ultimate mystery. He was a phantom, a ghost in the system. The FBI, despite all its resources, could not unmask him. The legend only grew. D.B. Cooper remained faceless, nameless, and free. For years, the case was cold. No sightings, no money, no answers. Then, in 1980, a boy named Brian Ingram found 3 packets of decaying $20 bills on the Columbia River's Tina Bar. The serial numbers matched the Cooper ransom. About $5,800 was recovered, buried in the sand. It was the first real clue outside the plane. How did the money get there? Did Cooper lose it during the jump? Did he bury it? Or did the river carry it downstream? The find raised more questions than answers. The location didn't fit the FBI's search zones. Maybe Cooper landed elsewhere, or maybe nature moved the money. Geologists and hydrologists were consulted, but the mystery remained. The rest of the $200,000 was never found. The Tina Bar money was a tantalizing clue, but not the solution. Cooper's fate was still unknown. The legend endured. The world was left to wonder. The puzzle was far from complete. Decades later, D.B. Cooper's mystery still captivates. The FBI closed the case in 2016, out of leads but not out of curiosity. Cooper became a folk hero to some, a reckless criminal to others. His story has inspired books, movies, and annual conventions. The composite sketch, Man in a Suit and Sunglasses, is iconic. He represents the allure of the unknown, the possibility of vanishing without a trace. Did he survive? Did he die in the wilderness? No one knows. Theories abound, but the truth remains elusive. Cooper's legend is a reminder that some mysteries endure. In a world of surveillance, he achieved a strange immortality by disappearing. The questions linger: who was he? How did he do it? Where did he go? The story of D.B. Cooper is a testament to the power of the unsolved. The myth lives on, fueled by curiosity and imagination. New theories emerge, but the case remains open in the public mind. D.B. Cooper is more than a name. He's an enduring enigma. Some mysteries never fade, some legends never die. And D.B. Cooper, the man who vanished into the night, remains one of America's greatest.